everybody, and welcome once again to the UnLearnT podcast. This is the podcast that is helping you gain the courage to change your mind so that you can experience more freedom. And I am your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA.
What up? What up? It's your girl Jaquita.
What's
Here in these
up?
streets. We in these money streets. Okay.
Man, so we just gonna jump right in. We ain't gonna do the little back and forth. How you doing kind of thing. We just jumping into the money.
See, you two used to being married. You want to be cared about. Ruth Abigail. How how are you?
I'm
How's
saying,
your
like,
day? How
I
was your
mean,
day? How's your week? Are you feeling purposeful? You feeling fulfilled? How's that
yes,
going?
yes, I
Huh?
am. It's been a good week. I'm feeling purposeful. I'm feeling fulfilled. So yes, thank you for asking, Jaquita. How are you?
I'm sorry. All right. I apologize. Yo, quick funny note. I saw this meme or this little thing on Instagram where it was a guy who was texting this girl and he was like, "Hello, Nicole, did you forget you in a relationship?" And she said, "I'm so sorry. I've been single so long. I forgot." He was like, "I haven't heard from you in weeks." She was like, and then she said, "You want something to eat? You hungry?"
Hilarious.
Hilarious. Okay, so sometimes we single folks forget to check in.
Understand?
But it's all right. Just know that you're loved, you're adored. I care a lot about you, Ruth Abigail. But
Understand.
my week's been really fantastic. You know, out here, I'm loving the relationships that I'm learning and growing in, and we just out here in these streets making a
Amen.
difference.
I like it. I like it.
Imparting into the young adult leaders. All right, we're
Listen,
here for y'all. We the middle adults. We're here.
we love you, and we're here to share our ups and downs, highs and lows,
My
and
lord.
um, great moments, proud moments, and not so prideful
And
moments. And
not so proud
you
moments.
know what I'm saying? And
We'll
and I
put it out
think
there for you. All right.
um, one of the things that we have some proud moments and not so proud moments in is the money. Let's talk about the money. Let's
Man,
talk about what it looks like to unlearn money.
man.
Let's do it.
You know,
Let's
there's
do
been
it.
a lot of apprehension coming to this day.
Rita has
You know,
not wanted to talk about this. Let's just put it all out there
first
because
of
she
all,
has
I
not
have
really
been
wanted to talk about
delaying
this.
this one. I have been
Like
delaying
literally,
this one. You know,
literally.
I just feel like one, money is something that you don't, first you have to understand why you have the relationship with money that you have. Like you grew up seeing money being used a certain way, and then that kind of like goes and puts you in a tailspin of like having to learn, your relationship with money. And one thing I always say is that I really believe, and understand God as a provider, because I have gotten myself in some some positions where it was like, okay, Lord, I would like to, now that I done messed this up, I would like to now put this in your hands. Lord, could you but please, Father God, help your daughter get out of this particular situation, because here we are again. And so we had to trust the Lord to bring it back. And so it's been a relationship with money. Not that I have a bad relationship with money. I have a growing one. I used to tell my students that character is not good or bad. Character is either developed or undeveloped. So it's not that you are good or bad with money. You have either developed some good money habits or you haven't. And it's just straight like that. So I think that, we're here today to talk to you about our stories of development, okay?
Amen.
And here to tell you all about the things.
So we found this article, and it's by the Business Insider, and we're just gonna like take some of these things and just talk about it from our perspective. But they did a survey. This was a few years ago, but they did a survey where they're listing the 7 hardest things you'll ever have to do with your money. Okay, and so when we're reading through this, we was like, oh yeah, we gonna tick all those off the list because that's true. Like those are definitely things that we have had to do, and we just want to talk about them. So we're just gonna read it. We're gonna read one of them, and then we're just gonna share a little bit, and we're just kind of go down the list. All right, is that cool? So Queen, we can like
Let's
tag team. We'll just go
let's
back and
do
forth.
it.
All right. So the first thing that they list is as one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do with your money is okay. This is great. We just gonna dive in. turning down a family member's request for loan.
My Lord.
Have you ever had to do that? Have you ever had to, or 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 be on the other side having to ask for it? That's hard
Listen.
too, right?
Yeah, no, for real. And I think a lot of times, especially in the middle adult, in the millennial phase, like we came through some rough economic times, right? And like coming out of my master's degree program, I was unemployed for a bit of time, right? And sleeping on a best friend's couch. Shout out to Janae. I love you forever
Shout
for
out.
letting me stay on your couch for a year, and I was getting like $92 a week in unemployment. And when I tell you, that's how I learned how to cook. Because when you sleeping on someone's couch and you haven't gotten a job yet, you better contribute somehow.
What you
And
do?
so I was in there, like, she came home. I was like, "Is that roast and potatoes on the table?" Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Right. And so I feel like I've just been in circumstances where I've been blessed that people were willing to sow into my life. You got to put it in spiritual terms. People were willing to sow a seed
That's
into
right.
my future,
That's right.
right? And into, but I've also been in positions where people have asked me for things that I've had to say no to.
Yeah.
Have asked me to cover expenses for a family member that I, one, was unable to, because they have a perception of, oh, Jaquita went to college. Jaquita got a good job working down there at that good university, making what they think is that good money. And they also think Jaquita doesn't have any kids. So Jaquita
Yeah.
should have money and should be able to, blase, blase, blah. And Jaquita don't got it quite yet, quite like y'all think I do. But the perception, especially as a first generation college student, the perception is that you are killing it. And I have had to, when I make my budget, of course I'm a giver, so I'm gonna find ways to give, but I have to be really mindful about the ways that I do give. But I also, again, in that same token, I have to be mindful of the way that I've been provided for. Jaquita wouldn't have gotten to where Jaquita is without the people who have kept her up until this point. And
Yeah.
so there's some things I really try to be led by the Lord in the way that I'm giving. There have been times where I have really financially poured into the lives of other people. And I told the Lord that there was a scripture, Lord, I have to find it. I told the Lord that I would be a lender as long as he needed me to.
Mm.
And when I tell you, it was a blessed place to be, but I also learned a lot in that. And I had to learn to set boundaries and limits on that. But I also had to, I had to agree to be a cheerful giver in that sense. But there
Yeah.
are boundaries, and I think boundaries is what's important to learn.
And I think so in this article, it kind of says, you know, it gives a hard answer to that. Like you should always, like, basically the best thing to say is just say no, right? That's kind of their opening line for it. And I do think there's nuance to it. Like you said, Quita, there's nuance to it.
Mhm.
And there's a recognition that you didn't get here by yourself. But
Mhm.
the boundary like setting boundaries is going to be key, and also being realistic. So sometimes it may not be a no, it might not be a right, it might be a no, not right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a never, but it might be a not now. Here's the other thing that's just what I one of the things one of the my parents, I'll say my parents, but my dad, I heard it from my dad the most, um taught me a lot of things. This is one of the most important things they taught me. I literally have grown up like this, and still hold true to it today. He said, never give a loan. Never.
Mm.
He said,
Mhm.
if you're gonna give somebody money, give it to them. Period.
Mhm.
Don't have this exchange. That's whether it's in your family, close, not close, whatever. He also told me this. He also said, never require gas money. Never ask somebody to do gas money. He said, you've been too blessed for that. Don't do that.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've those two things have stuck with me. Whenever I've given rides, when I was one of the only one of my friend groups that had a car at the time, and so I'd
Mhm.
be picking folk up. Let me get you gas money. No, I don't want it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, even if I didn't really have it, that's just not an expectation I'm about to come with. Like, no,
Yeah.
don't give me gas money. And if somebody asks me for money and I have it, I'm never gonna require you to pay me back. Now, if you decide on your own accord, I just want to do this because I just want to do it, that's on you. And I've also learned not to deny people that opportunity to do it, to pay it forward, even if pay it back. I will say that, right? Because sometimes that's what people need to do even for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But never require it. And so
That's
those
good.
two principles for me have really, really helped with my understanding of money, because if we do believe, and Quita and I believe, right, in a God that has
An
cattle
abundance.
on 1,000 hills, right?
Overabundance. A cattle
Over
on 1,000
well,
hills.
I threw it out there, right?
Yay, Lord.
So at the end of the day, we believe that the source is the source. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
know it's coming back, right? But there are some moments where it's just like, I ain't got it. Like, I ain't got it. I can't do it, and we have to be okay with saying that, because there is a responsibility. I'll say this other thing and I'll be done. This is one of the things, one of the revelations that came. This was a few years ago, but um, you were created by God.
Mm-hmm.
You were produced by your parents,
Mm.
but you were created by God.
Yeah.
God owns you, not your parents.
My Lord.
And they're responsible to be stewards
Mm-hmm.
of what God created, but they don't own you. And so when you get to a place of independence financially, you have to remember that. You are not your parents don't own your money, don't own your time, don't own that. And so you then have the opportunity to invest back into the people who invested into you, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to be wise about when you're going to be able to do that. And that is a really difficult thing, which is why it's on this list. Well, it's a hard thing to do, but if you don't do that, if you kind of just continue to answer that call for family members or friends or whoever before you're ready, you'll never get to a place where you can actually thrive financially. And there's just a reality to that. And then the people who are calling and pulling on you will only get scraps from you, because that's all you're ever able to build up, because you keep giving it
Yeah.
away too
I
soon.
mean, and I think you also have to be mindful, and we don't have to stay stuck here, but you also have to be mindful. Like, I believe in intentional sowing. Like, sure, there's
Yeah,
time where you're giving, but if there are things that you are giving into, you got to be mindful of what you're giving into. Are you giving into a bad mindset?
very true.
Right?
Good
Are
good
you
point. Very
giving
good point.
into their own, disregard for like financial management? And are you giving, like, sometimes stuff really does happen, right? And so, like, money, for me, money can't be the top priority, right? So,
Right.
like, when I'm thinking about if my mom came and asked for anything, I know my mom. I know how she financially stewards. I know how she, X, Y, and Z. Like, that's not going to be a question in my mind, because I know what I'm giving into. I know that I'm pouring something that's going into good soil. Right now, every request for money isn't like that, and
Yeah.
but like, I've just been around. Just as you're considering whether or not to give, if you have it, right? All of this conversation
If
is
you
if
have it.
you have it. Right. This is an if you have it conversation,
That's
right?
good, for
If
real.
your bills are paid, if you
Come on.
you're talking about what you're taking out of your storehouse. I just think that when you're making those decisions, it's not a money decision at that point.
That's
If you
good.
have it, it's not a money decision. And so I think that there's more to pray about, more to think through as you're making that decision versus, I'm going to cut and dry. I
That's
don't give
good.
out loans. Like,
No.
or I don't give.
Yeah.
Then I think that there's a heart issue there that you should consider. Like, why is my heart so tied to this money in that
That's
way
good.
that I won't allow God to allow me to be a disbursement center with that. So I don't know.
No, I think that's real
That's
good.
a, that's
And
a hard one for them to start off with. They could have
that's
led into that one.
I mean,
They
that's tough. That's
yeah,
tough
they
because
they went
that's
straight
tough.
into it.
Yeah, that's tough. We'll move on though, because that's how y'all bite and chew on that as you will. Okay, so the second
Pray
one,
and discern.
pray, bite, chew, and pray. Um,
Hallelujah.
all right. So the second one is learning how to live within or below your means.
Child.
Hilarious.
When the means ain't meaning, okay?
I cannot.
living at or below your means when the means ain't meaning. Like these means don't even mean. Yeah, they not even. The means are not meeting the needs of my life, right? And so, what you mean live below it? There is no beneath it.
Right. Right. That's
Right.
hilarious.
You wanna know what's funny is every time I check into my Bank of America app, there's this little like metric on there that says, oh, Jaquita, your typical spending, you typically spend, $200 more than what you make. All right. Or, you're spending 300 less than what you bring in. Right. And it either tells you good job or it's like caution lights, and I really, I try to live my life so that little metric will show that that little metric will show that I've been living
That's
beneath,
hilarious.
living beneath the means. But it's like a constant check for me. Like one time years ago, it was like you spend $600 more than you make, and I was like, how I do that? What I need to do, right? But it cautioned me to go in and check through my spending habits. I was like, wait a minute, okay, something about the way that I'm spending is off because there's no way that means I'm pulling from savings, I'm using credit cards, right? I'm using money that I don't actually have, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a check in my spirit to say, okay, go reevaluate the way that you've been spending because something's off.
Yeah. And I think going back to what you said earlier, what's the motivation behind the overspending? And
Mm-hmm.
really having some difficult conversations with yourself and or with somebody else. Like
Yeah.
really talk about that because there's a what are we trying to prove? What are you trying to avoid?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you deserve? Right? Those types of questions go way beyond money. Money is just the fruit of that. And so when you start finding
Mm-hmm.
yourself spending other people's money, aka using a credit card,
My Lord. Or
uh
spending money you don't have right now.
spending money you do not have, right,
Mm-hmm.
on things that you don't need, right?
My Lord.
Um, you got to ask yourself where's that coming from because
Yeah.
that is actually a symptom of something a lot deeper, and because
Yeah.
that living within or below your means, that means can grow. Right, your
For
means
sure.
today don't have to be your means in 10 years, but it will be
Yeah. And
if you don't take care of it.
yeah, and the thing about it is that that's not determined by your habits determine how much overflow you have, not your income, right? And
Correct.
Ruth felt that in her soul,
I
right?
did, boy.
Because you can make more money, but that little chart can still say, okay, but you still have the same habits. You're still spending more. You made more, so you went out and spent more. And so
Yeah.
now you don't have anything in the storehouse, right? I remember when I had a couple of jobs ago, not at the current one I had, we would get off work on Fridays early. And my little treat to myself was I worked hard this week. I deserve to go out in these spending streets. Okay. And so I had my little circuit of little stores I used to go visit every Friday. I'm like, I need to see what's in TJ Maxx. I need to hit Nordstrom rack up. Let me see what's at the Old Navy, right? And so I'm just walking in these stores. I haven't written out my budget. I don't have a spending plan for how much money I even have to spend. And, you go in that store and you convince yourself. I'm also a coupon queen. And sometimes for all of my couponers, it's a trap, baby. It's a trap. Just because you get 20% off don't mean you need to buy it. Right? Just
What
because you think you'll never see it at this price again. It'll never be $10 again. Yes, it
can,
will.
can we just pause and we just give the Lord a praise for this shift
I don't
in
need it.
on
I
in
don't
the
need you to do that.
unlearning of
I don't
Jaquita?
I
Because
don't
there
need
was a
I don't
day.
need
Wait,
that.
let me have a moment. Let me have my moment. There was a day. Oh, there was a day. Lord, there was a day when those phrases wouldn't have come out of her mouth, boy. Oh, that does my soul good. Cause that's the kind of thing I'll be like, yo, that don't make no sense, Quita. Okay, it's okay, you get 50% off. You ain't got the money for the 50%. It don't
Now,
matter.
now before
I'm
Ruth
sorry.
ever
I
gets
need
too
I need
excited,
that. I need that moment right there.
before she gets too excited, I do still believe the Lord can bless in a sale. And that when you catch it, when your spirit say go, it may not make sense to her, but between me and my God, we good.
Oh
Okay. But
gosh.
I think the problem is not it's on sale. I want it. I should have it. The problem is that do you have this budgeted? Do you have the income to get this? Have you made the necessary sacrifices in the beginning of the week so that when you get to the end of the week and you see something that's on sale that God has put there for you, you made the sacrifices so that you can afford it, right? The problem wasn't that it wasn't a blessing, because if you know your girl, I'm really good at what I do. I can get stuff for the low. Okay, I really can. I'm really good at what I do. All right. But by the time I've gotten to that point in the week, I've made no sacrifices at the beginning of the week. So now buying that thing is a burden. Buying that
Yeah.
thing is going to put me in a deficit. And I used to buy it anyway. Is what she's getting at, right? But you have to live your life, not that I can get everything I want, but you have to live your life at a level of discipline so that when you get to the moments where those things are put in front of you, you've made the sacrifice and you've had good stewardship so that you can have those things. It's not about I never want nice things. I can never have nice things because I don't make enough. No, you got to figure out the level of sacrifice it's going to take. And sacrifice means discipline in your spending. Sacrifice may mean finding other sources of income, right? Sacrifice may mean and will mean telling a lot of people no. Do you want to go out to eat? No. Do you want to go to the movies? No.
No.
Do you want to go shopping? No.
No.
No, no, because I'm sacrificing now because I got a vision and a purpose that I'm trying to get to later, right? And all of that's necessary.
It is, and so that really, I mean, we're really kind of already talking about the third one is learning how to control your spending, right?
Mm.
And so it's that word discipline, man, is so important. It just is. I mean, we can't that if you want to ask yourself why you aren't where you want to be, it's probably because you're undisciplined. And I'm speaking to myself too.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. Like it's probably
Yeah.
because you're undisciplined.
Mm.
And it's not just one of those things, it's one time. You have to get it under control, right? Control your money so it don't control you.
Yeah.
That is, but most of us out here letting our money control us. And when you don't get control over that, that thing goes wild because your money don't care about you. Your money
Yeah.
don't care about you. Your credit cards don't, them credit cards don't care about you. Them
My
loans don't
credit
care about
card,
you.
she don't be
Don't care
saying
about
nothing
you.
to me. When I'm
Straight
making
up.
a decision, she don't say, "Hey, girl,
Hold on.
back
Think
up, girl."
about it.
She be like, "We got a little something on the card.
They
we
don't
got,
care.
we got, yeah, don't care."
They don't care. And
And the
so
people who gave you the credit card are not are not mindful of you. They're not mindful of your money goals. They don't
my,
care. They want you in as much debt as possible.
well, and that's all. And not only do they not care, but they actually have the exact opposite agenda, which is to get you in as much debt as you possibly can. And so
Hmm.
that is that so that it makes them more money. So let's just be clear about that.
Yeah.
And so now anyway, I'm not going to go on a tangent about credit cards, but um we got to get more disciplined with our spending. And I think that's, like Quita was saying, for me the best tool to do that has been a budget tool.
Hmm.
Um and there are lots of them out there. I'm old school. I like using a spreadsheet, and I have a
Me too.
spreadsheet that has all the calculations on it, has all my different categories of spending. And here's what I had to learn, and I think it's a budget is not something you do one time. That is not, it's not, you don't just say, "Oh, I have a budget. I did it." No. A budget is a living, breathing document that should change
Mhm.
according to your current situation.
Man, let
So
me tell you.
the way this week will be different than next week, and your budget needs to reflect that.
Yeah.
You might have to go get an oil change this
Yeah.
week. You won't have to get one next week, so take that off your budget, put it somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
You might have a birthday dinner for your best friend that is happening this week. The birthday dinner is not next week, so take that and put it somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to think through it every time you're dealing. I make my budget every paycheck. So some people do it per month, which is fine. I do it every 2 weeks. And so because I like to stay ahead of that. Like I'm better
Yeah.
with doing it like that.
I
And yeah. How do you
can I
do it,
make
Quita?
a quick can I quickly advocate? Yes. I was doing my budget by paycheck, and now, and I still do, because it's, you need to know where the dollars of this paycheck are going, right? But recently I sat down and did my budget for the month. Like, what are all my expenses for the month, and how is that, reflected in my paychecks? And what I discovered was
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize that I was leaving every check in a deficit, that I was using money from the next check to pay for bills for this check, and so
Mm,
on. And so I didn't realize that that was causing me to live above my means, because I was looking at my money from one scope. And so what I would advise you to do is to take your money and to look at it from a 360 view. Like, go all the way around it and say, okay, if I budget according to paycheck, this is what my money looks like. If I'm looking at it for the month, this is
that's
what it
right.
looks like. If I take my annual salary and break everything down, that's what that looks like. Like, really just have a one-on-one session with yourself, with you and your money, and really comb through, how much am I spending on this? Go back and look at your spending habits, right? If you and when you look at your spending habits, you're really looking at your habits, right? If you have a
Yeah,
coffee habit, that's going to be reflected in your spending. How much am I spending on coffee? How much am
yeah,
I spending eating out?
my
Right?
lord.
How much am I spending on these little Friday frou shopping trips? Because in my mind, if I spend $20, $20 ain't nothing. But if I spend $20 every week,
That's
that's
right.
20 times 52. That's over $1,000
Yeah.
that I have spent on Friday trips, right?
Mm,
How does that make me feel when I look at the number in a different way? And I
yeah,
think that it will make you reevaluate the way that you are approaching your spending, because it is easy with that check. You be like, I was doing my checks and I was like, oh, I got $300 extra this month. I'm gonna
yeah.
throw maybe like 100 in savings, and 200 I'm gonna do what I want to do. But I didn't realize I was living out of a deficit. So I really needed that $200. I just didn't need it from that check for the bills due right then.
Yeah.
Right. But when I looked at it differently, it completely changed the way I approach my money.
That's really good. I realized that I just did my tax. Well, I'm almost done with my taxes because I'm definitely waiting till the last minute. But I I was looking at, so I have a for my retirement I have an IRA that I've set up,
Mhm.
and so I looked at, I had to do my like yearly contributions, and I did not put in as much as I thought I did.
My Lord.
But and part of that was I like what you're saying, have a 360 view of it, because I'm very conscious of what's being uh what I'm doing from week every paycheck or month to month, right? I'm more conscious of that than I am the entire year, and I realize, oh shoot, like I've been I've been sacrificing the long term for the short term in that,
Mm,
right? I've been saying,
mhm,
oh yeah, I'm gonna put stuff in there. Like I put stuff in there, and I do, but it's not nearly as much as I should. And so,
mhm,
and that's because I am part of that is because I am not paying attention to the overall. So what I'm gonna do, what I have to unlearn even in this moment, is you need to set a yearly goal. What it like
mm.
for putting whatever in your IRA, right? In my case, in my
Smart.
IRA. So like the yearly the contribution limit is $6,000.
Mhm.
Okay, like, do I feel like I can get there? Okay, well, it has to be somewhere between 0 and 6,000. Pick a number and get there. Like, and
Yeah.
so that I know, like for me, even in this moment, I'm like, oh yeah, I should definitely do that because it wasn't what I thought it was. And so
Mhm,
that's recognizing, again, it's a discipline thing. It's a discipline thing. It's an
mhm.
awareness thing. Don't let your money just be coming slipping through your hands. Going into, I think can we go back to what you said about saying no? Because that right there, hey man, we don't say no enough when it comes to money, because and when it comes to spending in ways that we feel like most stuff that you're saying yes to is not going anywhere. And I think that's like, hey, there will be other movies that come out, and by the way, it's probably coming to your streaming site that you're probably paying for in the next couple of weeks.
Don't go.
Don't spend that $20. That's not necessary. Or you know your that thing, that iPad that you were looking to buy, it will be on sale when you're ready to buy it.
I
Like,
saw them. We have a discount store called Gabe's. They're now selling iPads and MacBooks, and I'm like, you get iPad for $70.
wow.
Need to go get one. What's up
Wow.
with Abigail?
I'm okay with that as long as it's in your budget. Uh so, I just think we have to know that most of the things we're saying yes to, or I'm saying yes to now, it's like that yes ain't going nowhere. That's whatever's out there today will be out there in a couple of months. Just hold on.
Yeah.
Just wait. Take care of business, right? And so I also think it's important. You said it like that we can't negate the fact that sometimes it really is an income issue. So you really just don't have enough. And that's real. So, okay, so this
Been
is,
there.
and I have these conversations a lot with people. So, what do you need to do to make room in your life to have to have more streams of income? Some of
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to have to say no to stuff, not just because of the money, but because of the time. And so that you
Listen.
can free yourself up to make the money you need to make. And that's not to say forever. When I first started off, in the nonprofit space, I made not hardly any money. When taxes were out, it was just like, well, this is ridiculous. I was doing that, but I was also had four other streams of income. And those streams of income, I took every single opportunity I could to make $50 here, $70 here, $75 here, $100
Yeah.
here. Sometimes it was good, it was 350, right? But I took it because I knew where I wanted to be. But I also knew I wasn't going to be doing that forever. I don't
Yeah.
have enough energy in my body to be working five jobs forever. Nobody's saying do that. But once you get your discipline on track, right,
Mm-hmm.
then you can put your energy into making more and putting yourself in a position financially where you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to keep doing that. But
Yeah.
if your discipline and your spending habits remain the same while you're making more money, you will always be trying to hustle for more money.
True.
And so I think it's just a matter of like, I can do anything for a short amount. I would tell myself that all the time. I can do anything for a season. I can do anything for a season because I know that season is going to change. Um, because that was the plan. I had a plan for that. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna keep doing this. So
I mean,
just be encouraged by that. If it's
yeah.
an income issue, there are ways to increase that income while also having
Yeah.
discipline.
I have been sitting down with a friend, and once a week we like have accountability meetings where we're like, okay, these are the things that we are expecting God to do in this season. And these are the ways that we're going to hold ourselves accountable. And so we have like different areas that we're like working through. And one of those areas is money. And on there, I'm like, I am expecting to be debt free. And this is what I got to do to get there. Like, this is how much money I need to make to pay off everything that I want to be paid off, right? And so like over the summer, when I think one, when you open yourself up to saying, hey, I'm willing to do the work that it's going to take to get to the place I see myself getting to, right? And then those opportunities will begin to come, right? Like you may not already have like in your mind, like, okay, I can go, because I was telling people I was going to go work at Sephora. I love makeup. I love perfume. I was going to go to Sephora, and then it would have caused a problem because my spending habits would have increased along with my income. So the Lord did not open that door. But I also love motivational speaking. I love, teaching, workshops, all that. People started like seeking me out for those things. And my immediate answer was yes. Do you want me to, Jaquita, can you teach this workshop? Yes. Jaquita, can you come in my classroom? Yes, yes, yes. And I'm watching as the amount that I told God that I wanted to
Mm,
make, he is opening the door and providing me with the resources. The resources have not looked like, an unexpected check in the mail, which those are my
right.
favorite
That's
type of
good. That's
blessings.
good, Quita. That's
But it has not, the answer has not looked like somebody saying, Jaquita, I want to put $2,000 in your hand right now. This is for your future. It has not
this
looked
is
like that.
good.
Although
This is
I love
good.
those type of
This is
blessings as
good.
well. It has
This is
looked
good.
like open doors. It has looked like
This is good.
opportunities. It has looked like work for pay. It has looked like take the gifts, take the things that I put inside of you, like the parable of the talents. Take the talents that I put in your hand, take what I put in your hand, and go sow it into the community. And I guarantee you, you'll come back with more than what you left with. But if you are sitting on something that you should be using and
Mm.
operating in, you are missing your biggest opportunity to go out there and create wealth for yourself,
Wow.
right? Ruth Abigail plays piano keys, she doesn't, do it for a living anymore, miss those days, I'm trying to get her to play for my wedding, y'all put it in the comments, put it in the chat. Tell her she ought to play for me for free. Be on my side for a change.
I'm
That's okay.
on
We don't need a rebuttal. Thank you.
I,
But that's something that she does, right? That's a gift that she has that she can use. FYI, I'm single. All right, just want to put that out there. I don't know who the man is going to be yet, but I know Ruth Abigail can play keys for my wedding. Okay, I
either
know
I'm
that Ruth.
gonna be in the wedding or I'm gonna play for the wedding. I have to say that
I
out loud. I'm
told
not
her
kidding.
that
Okay,
she
go
could
ahead.
walk
Go ahead.
down the
Go
aisle.
ahead.
She'll be the first bridesmaid out. She'll walk down the aisle. She'll put her bouquet in a little vase on top of the piano,
Move
right?
on.
That would be set like right next to the other bridesmaids. She has no excuse. But nevertheless, that is a gift that she can use, right? That she can operate in to bring in more income. If she sits on that gift and tells the Lord, I don't want to use it, that door cannot open to become a stream of income.
Amen.
What are you sitting on that you're refusing to use that is keeping you from your next level of living?
Uh oh.
If I told the Lord, or if I said to myself, I'm not going to speak in public, I don't want to do public speaking. As much as I love public speaking, I get super nervous about it. It wrecks me up. The week before a speaking engagement, I am like, oh my gosh, I am nervous, right? And if I allowed that to stop me from doing what I know I'm called and gifted to do, then I'm also closing the door to my opportunity to grow in my assignment, in my purpose, and in my prosperity.
Bruh, you did that. That right there is it. I could not agree more. That man, that's just good. I hope y'all need to run that back. Just whatever, right? If you got to this point, or rewind it for about 2 minutes, hear that again, because what she just laid out is truly that's a hack, man. That is an income hack. Stop looking for people to hand you stuff and work what you have.
Work
Like,
what you got.
straight up, work what you have, work what you've been sitting on. It will come, even if you have to do it for free at first. Work
Listen, I
it.
started, yeah.
Work
Motivational
it.
speaking for me, I just did a couple of free gigs.
Y'all
I've been
did. What
doing
you
free
say? You
stuff.
paid for them. You
Yeah,
paid
and
for them.
but it's the exposure. There's a season of exposure, right? People got to believe you. People got to believe you're good, right? They're not just gonna hire you off your name. The name Jaquita didn't get me in the door. It was the work ethic that built the name that gets me in the door.
That's
It
right.
was the exposure, right? And so when my colleagues and my coworkers ask me to do stuff, I tell you no lie. I just maybe 3 weeks ago went and talked to a group of students about building their goals and dreams. From that experience came two other opportunities to speak to students, because those students went to their department heads, went to their program leads, and said, you need to invite Jaquita Ross because she knows how to motivate us. And I literally just got an email 2 days ago that said, hey, Jaquita, your student from this program you spoke at, which by the way, spoke for free, that they just told us that we have to have you. And they don't even really know me like that. Like, these people who are calling me now don't have any idea who I am, but because I spoke at a program for free for my department, they went and told another department about it, and now doors are opening. But you can't be afraid to go through a door because you're counting pennies. Go through that
Talk
door so that it can
about
open the door
that.
that you're really trying to get through.
Absolutely, amen and amen. All right, we're gonna
All
pivot
right.
to the next piece, because that was good. We could do that.
Sorry,
But I
my
gotta
middle
I gotta I
adult
gotta
self,
move on.
she got stuck right there.
But that's good. But that's good. Okay, so the next one, I think this is number 4. Talking about your money with your partner. So, or with a person who can hold you accountable, right? So, because everybody out here ain't married, everybody ain't in a relationship. Um, so
Can I make a point real quick before?
oh, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know normally you lead us off, but I just want to say this for all my single folks like myself. Amen. For all my single folks, because I think that we build this romanticized view
Mm.
that when I get to that 2 income household, I'm gonna be all right. Right? Like, oh, when he comes, when that man comes, when that woman comes, I don't know if men are thinking like this, but I know I'm thinking like this. I know a lot of single women like myself are thinking, when that man comes, all right, I am not going to have to be as fiscally responsible, okay, because that man will come and he will bring another income to the fold, and we'll be a two-income household. And before, I think this is a great time, me as a single person who has had that mindset, but now I'm watching as my friends get married and I'm realizing it ain't what I think it's gonna be. I would love, Ruth Abigail, for you to talk to the single young adults, the single young leaders, and the single middle adults, kind of about, like, was that thought, did that become a reality, or what changed in your perception of that?
Yeah. So, yeah, so it needs to be understood that I've spent most of my adult life so far single, right? Meaning I just got married last year. I'm in my mid to late 30s. We'll say that. So, um I one of the best things that I could have done for myself is what before entering into a marriage, and my husband and I talked about this. We talked about this before we got married. We talk about it now. Is that when you get to it is great to be able to get to a place where you can start off your partnership building something together. It's
Mm-hmm.
very so what I would encourage is the reason you want to get your finances, and look, it may not you may not be totally out of debt, you may not have everything together, but begin to build good financial habits when you're single,
For sure.
is because you don't want to be digging a hole when you get married, digging yourself out of a hole. You want to be able to enjoy the opportunity to build with your partner.
Yeah.
And so the two of us we're blessed enough to, and we're blessed to have good financial habits to where we're able to do that now. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
been we've both done the stupid in different ways, right?
Yeah.
100%. And in some ways are still paying for that now, right? On both of our ends. There are things I do not have as much in my retirement as I like to.
Yeah.
He's in a different situation because he's military. So he some of that stuff is taken care of for him. For me, that's not the case. I wish I'd have been more diligent in that. I don't even love the amount of savings that we have. It's not horrible, but it could have been better, right? We need to do stuff around the house. It would be nice to not have to hustle for that, and to have had some stuff saved up to where it's like, okay, let's get this done, right? So now we're still in a really blessed position. I'm not, and I'm grateful for
For
that. But
sure.
again, it's because we paid attention to some stuff before we
Mm-hmm.
got together. Here in the and I, I mean, I ain't gonna speak for him, but I'm gonna do it a little bit because he ain't here. One of the things that he would tell me is, like, he actually appreciates the fact that I wasn't looking for him to get me out of something as a
Mm.
woman. That's the
Yeah.
reality, right? So,
Yeah.
like, that was a plus. It was like, and as a woman, I don't need him to provide for me. It's not a need. It is a privilege to be able to do this together. And
Yeah.
you want to go into a partnership with that being a privilege to build, not I need you because I'm in trouble. Um, so it's just a different mindset, and it's a good one. I'm grateful for it, but let me say, it ain't easy, and we've had to. There are some conversations that we probably should have had before we got married that we didn't, right? That we have now, and it's like, oh shoot, like, oh okay, that's how you think. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, all right. Well, what if all right? So what do we're both very independent people, and so bringing our finances together and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about them together is can be a challenge, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
something that is part of the issue of talking about it, is talking about your money as one, not as two. That's hard when you've been living most of your life as one. I mean, as one person, right? Or as two different people. Um, so I would say, like, those things is just, but it takes time. But that the operative word there is talk. You have to talk. You have to bring it up.
Communicate.
It has to be, it will be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable. Operative word is talk. You have to talk. You have to actually communicate with the person you're in a relationship with. And that communication is going to be different before and after you get married. We don't have to get into that because I definitely know that there are some partnerships that put their finances together without the marriage part, which is totally up to you. That's a personal decision. I I suggest waiting until you're married to totally intertwine that. Um, because there are just implications before and after marriage legally that are going to matter when it comes to your money.
Mm.
But that's neither here nor there. Do what you want to do. The point is, you have to talk to your partner, right? You have to communicate. You have to talk about that stuff. And what you're also going to realize is when you do get in a relationship, there are going to be things about their habits that you will find out that they didn't tell you about. That's real.
Mm.
So you have to learn how to move with that. And they might be
Yeah.
different than yours. You have to learn how to move with it. So communication is going to be really key in that. Although I do understand it's weird. It's weird. It is a weird conversation, especially in the sense of like this mindset from two people to one person is going to take talking, right?
Mm.
And so keep it open, keep the lines of communication open, and don't hold it to yourself. All right, so Quinn, did you want to say anything else about that?
No, I think it all just also speaks towards, like, like the work that I'm doing now. I'm doing it with some of that in mind, that, like, I am gonna, when I get presented to my husband in the near future this year, amen. Like, I need to be, number one, aware of, like, my spending habits and ready to communicate that. But also, I'm trying to present a complete package out here. Like, nah, baby, I'm a come up. I'm not a burden. I'm not, oh, I'm gonna have to take on all this debt. I'm gonna have to take on all her stuff. Nah, I've worked through my stuff. I have some stuff saved up. I have some plans. I have things that will bring something to the table. And I think that that's
Right.
significant and important.
Yeah, it is because you're partners, and that's important. Partners are able to pull each other. You're not in
Don't be
a,
waiting. And
it's not a,
I was just gonna say, we in the age of the sugar mama and the sugar daddy. Ain't nobody trying to give you, if you want a partner, if you want somebody that you can walk in life with and build with, it's nobody carrying the other. Is we both got each other.
yeah, yeah, we got each other. So yeah, that's just
I
a
got
mentality that I think is really
you.
healthy to have. So the the next one is accepting responsibility for your financial situation and starting to change it. All
Hmm.
right, so that's real. That's real. Accept the responsibility for where you are. It's okay. We've
Yeah,
all been where you are.
yeah,
Okay, we've all been there.
yeah.
And now we have to say, okay, and it's not a blame game. Well, they didn't
Mm.
teach me,
Take
or
that
I
shame and
didn't
get out
know,
of it.
I didn't grow up like.
Yeah,
It's not, that's not helpful. You have to
yeah,
take responsibility, accept it, and move forward, right?
yeah. And I also think, like, when we say
Yeah.
talk about accept responsibility, that is also being real with yourself about your real situation. It is not, you have to be able to look at your situation and say, I am not okay. There are times, especially in my 20s, that I had to take
Yeah.
a step back and be like, yeah, this financial situation is not okay. I am not okay. There are some times, even in
Yeah.
my 30s, mid 30s, that I had to take a step back and say, yeah, I'm not okay. This is not okay. I got to make a change, right? But you have to take a look at yourself and say, have I made myself feel like it was okay because I started using credit cards? Have I made myself feel like it was okay because I had a loan here or there? Or I made some financial decisions that helped me to get by, but they have left me having dug a deeper hole, right? And so you have to be able to look at yourself and say, okay, where I am right now is not where I want to be. I take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
It was my decisions, it was my
That's
choices,
right.
it was my blah, blah, blah. And then don't get stuck in a pit of despair about it. Don't allow the shame and guilt of it to keep you stuck there. Start immediately thinking, okay, what's the plan for how I'm going to dig myself out of this? What's the plan? How am I going to get out of this? And the moment you open
That's
yourself
good.
up to the how, the answers will come.
That's good, Quita. And the plan, and I think this is important. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like,
Mm-mm.
there are multiple experts out there trying to help you through this situation. The one who helped me the most is Dave Ramsey. Dave
No,
Ramsey
no,
has a proven plan to get you to a place financially where you can move forward. I know folks got a lot of feelings about Dave. I get it. I
oh,
get it. I
David,
really
Dave.
do. I don't even 100% follow everything. I probably do it about 85%. But there's that
Mm-hmm.
50% that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go this way. But
Yeah.
but that's okay cuz he's got a plan. There's a real plan. It's 7 baby steps towards wealth. This stuff he's been doing for excuse me. This stuff he's been doing for decades. And it's worked, including for
That's
me.
a middle
Oh,
adult cough.
I got to get a little water. I don't know
That's
what's
that
going on.
middle adult.
Shoot.
Don't try to worry about that.
Um
And if it's not Dave Ramsey for you, it might be someone else. As much as we are listening, we're on social media. I'm in a phase of my life where I'm like, yo, there's stuff that I do that I have made a habit. Let's make it a productive habit. If I'm going to be on Instagram all day, let me go look at some people who are going to feed something into my life. Right.
yeah,
Let me follow people who have
that's
something,
right.
inspirational, motivational, who can inspiration, people who can help me believe differently, motivational, people who can help me behave and act differently, help me move differently, right? Make sure you're following people
Yes.
on these Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, all these platforms who are both inspiring and motivating you to be better, right? For Ruth, it was Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
For you, it could be somebody else, but find you your people. They're not
Yeah.
hard to find.
They not hard to find, man. They out here. So here's a couple that I've done the Dave Ramsey route. I've literally gone through that program, but there's a couple others that I like, right? So there's a guy who there's a book he has, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He also has a Netflix series, okay,
Yes.
where he is basically talking to people from all walks of life and walking them through a process of how do you get to your rich life. I'm gonna butcher his name, but I believe it's Ramit Sethi. Sethi. I can't Ramit Sethi. All right.
Nice.
So that's him. He's really, really, really good. So I really like him. I like the way he approaches it. It's different, right? It kind of gives a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more freedom for those of you that aren't as rigid in your thinking. This guy might be
Yeah.
for you. He helps you start off with your dream and then work your way back. I like that. Right. I really like
Right.
that. The other group that I really like, now they're going to be more like financial education, investment, kind of stuff, and they're kind of your all around financial education people. Earn Your Leisure. Two black guys, three black guys, two in particular, and they they are a phenomenal duo, sometimes trio of people who really know how to speak to the culture, our current culture around finances. And I would really, they have a podcast, they've got a YouTube channel, they got resources. Earn Your Leisure, EYL, look them up. They're great. So those are just some tools and some resources that you can find that are out there, and they're out there, and y'all, it's free. It's free. Like, you won't have to
Free,
pay
free,
anything
free.
for it. They got stuff you can pay for, but you don't have to in order to get that. So once you accept your financial situation and start to change it, these are ways you can start to change it, is to just start to get the information. Download their podcasts. All of them have podcasts. Download them. And just at least start listening to it. You might gain something just from an episode that you can implement right now. But you first have to get to the place where you're like, yeah, I need to do better. I messed up. Let me pivot.
Yeah.
Let me
I'd
pivot.
also like to say
Um,
find some accountability. Like be real with yourself
yeah.
and then be real with somebody else. Like don't try to hide it, because the things that you hide, you're not going to have the people in your life that can help hold you to it. Because things that, I'm not as disciplined with finances as Ruth Abigail is. Right. And it is, I could live a life where I'm like, I need to hide what's going on with my finances from Ruth because I don't want her to know, because I know she's
Mm-hmm.
going to hold me accountable. Right. But I try to be as transparent as possible and say, hey, here's where I am right now, so that I have people who are on the outside looking in who can point me to the different resources and things that they're using. So don't, find trusted people in your life that you can be 100% real with and who can help to hold you accountable
Yeah.
to the goals that you're setting for yourself.
All right. So the next one is learning to make rational money decisions rather than emotional ones.
I would like to say I think that this entire statement is a target against our friendship. I think that it is positioning rational above emotional, and I don't like it. I just want to say that just because Ruth Abigail is more rational, logical, and I don't like to say I'm emotional. I make decisions that are value based. Okay, thank you very much. And emotions aren't bad anyway. Okay, I just don't like the way they worded that. That's all I'm saying. Nevertheless, I persist. Still, I
So I'm
rise.
glad you got that off your chest.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm glad you got that off your chest. That is fine. I don't think emotion has to be bad. So I think an interesting example, right? And they kind of touch on it in the article, is talking about investment. All right. So one of the things, if you're invested in the stock market, like I have money in the market, and you have all these portfolios and stuff like that. Okay. Which you can go, I have mine, I use Fidelity. It's the simplest thing in the world. It basically is, it takes you through these baby steps to get you into the market, right? An investment. I don't really know much about it. But one thing I do know is that the best thing to do is to let it sit. You don't want to change just because something goes down. So you're going to see these lines, right? Green goes up, red goes down for how much you have right then. But you don't make these types of investments in the market for a payout in a year. That's not what this is for.
Mm,
This is 10, 15, 20 years. And so I think when it's making this statement, like when I read it, I kind of hear, okay, don't be discouraged because your money, because you seeing that red line go down. It's like, whoa, 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 oh, I gotta take it out. Oh, I'm losing it. Like, no, hold on. No, because the market goes through seasons, like our life. It goes
mm-hmm.
through seasons. It's gonna, like, you're going to let it roll, let it ride, let it go
Mm,
through what it's gotta go through. And so I think, like, in that regard, you can't let your emotions, that of being fear or anxiety, right, make you do something too soon, because you're not going to reap the benefits of your money being in the market um in a short term. That's not, most of us don't do that unless you're trading, doing short term trades and all that stuff, and you're doing day trading and all that. That's a whole profession. If you want to get into that, that's fine. But most of us aren't
mm-hmm.
going to get into that. Most of us are putting in for long term investment, so let it stay there. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm reading from there.
I mean, yeah, I get all that. I was just saying. I get tired of people coming down on emotions, and that's why we don't take the time to understand emotions like we need to, but we'll do that on another episode.
We will, because, well, because money isn't emotional, and I think that's the thing. Like, money's not emotional. Like we said earlier,
Mhm.
money don't have feelings. It don't care about you. You're emotional, and I'm emotional, but money is not. And so if we treat it like it is, we're gonna lose that fight because it has no feelings. And so anyway, we I see Queen about to be mad at me, so we're gonna move on.
No,
Okay,
no, no,
so
I'm stretching it.
all right, so
No,
here's the
moving on.
last
I'm
one,
good.
right? All right, so the last one. We're moving on. We're good. So here's the last one. Starting to save and plan for later in life. Starting to save and plan for later in life is one of the most challenging things to do. Quinn, why do you think that's challenging?
Because there are right now needs, like, and you're always operating in the urgency of the now versus, thinking
Yeah.
about the needs of tomorrow. And so a lot of times we're not focusing we're not building for our life that we're going to see. We're always thinking about what we're experiencing right now. And so, like how you said earlier, like, you can do anything for a season because the season will change. Well, sometimes, especially when you feel like you don't have enough money, you never feel like that season's going to change. So you build mindsets and habits that are based off of the season you're in right now instead of the season that you're trying to get to,
Mm.
right? if we knew what was coming, we would prepare better today for what was coming. But because we don't know, we operate off of what we know. We operate out of off of the lifestyle that we know, off of the situations and the circumstances that we know. We operate off of what we know. Saving is saying I'm putting something aside for a life that I don't know anything about yet.
Mm, yeah, that's good. And so yeah, that's good. I think that we're I mean we're in a, I guess, a season, at least in America, right, where a lot of the talk around building generational wealth. Like that's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
one of the top priorities of doing well with your money. Is like, I want to build generational wealth. Well, that's a later in life thing. Also,
Yeah,
generational implies not you, but the next, right? So that's another
yeah,
whole thing. We got to shift our mindset on that. But what's interesting is most of us don't come from that. Most of us do not come from wealth. So to your point, the challenge of saving into it, saving for something that we've never experienced, but not that we've never experienced, but others in our family have never experienced. So we don't have any kind of reference point for what that
mm-hmm.
means. And so I think that it is a real challenge. And so some of that is just going to have to be just moving and doing what other people suggest or advise who are in that space, even though you don't understand it. And
Yeah,
even though other people around you, particularly in your family, may not be doing it. Like
yeah,
you just have to do it. You may not know what it's going to turn out to be. You may not understand what that ultimately means, but these people that I see out in the world are saying, hey, if you want to get here, this is what you need to do. If you want to get here,
mm-hmm.
you need to set aside $200 a month and um, um, put it in an interest bearing account so that in 20 25 years you'll have the million $2 million that you want in that account, right? Like
Yeah,
there are numbers, there are real numbers that people have calculated to say, when you put this in this account, put $200 in this account starting at the age of 30, at the age of 55, you'll have X amount of dollars. That's a real number. Like that's not
yeah,
theoretical. And
yeah,
so that is, those are just some things that we have to just do. I know sometimes
yeah,
like we're in this age of information. We want to know stuff, we want to understand stuff, we want to have reasons behind stuff. I want you to explain some things we just can't wait to fully grasp. Just do it.
mm-hmm.
Because the one of the things that I think of with money, um wealth comes with time. And the more time you use trying to figure things out on your own without and just wait on doing things that actually are proven to work, you're losing the time that the money has to grow. So you want to be in a position to where your money is growing even when you don't quite understand what's happening. Just put it in
Yeah,
there. Just do it. You know? And so I like what you said, like you're planning for something, for a life that you can't see yet. But
mm-hmm.
then there's also the reality that we have examples of that life live that we see. It may not be our life, it may not be directly connected to us, but we see it. You see the
Yeah,
50,
we have
60 year old. Can
examples.
I say, you see now, I'm gonna say this statement knowing that this isn't the case for everybody, right? Because you do have some folks who are in their 60s, 70s who are working, jobs at a store or something because they're like, I just need something to do. Like I can't be out here just sitting at home chilling. Like I need to work. But then you have people who are 60 and 70 years old who have to work. This is not an option, right? And
Mm-hmm.
part of that, for whatever reason, it may have been something outside of their control or in their control, is because they don't have enough to live on, right? They don't have enough to live on in when you get to that age. And so there's just a reality to you need to be thinking, do I want to have to work when I'm 70? Because if you don't want to have to work when you're
Mm-hmm.
70, you have to start that process today,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's just real.
real talk. Real talk. And I think
So,
that, I
yeah.
think that there are a lot of people who you said something about like the numbers being real, that like if you put this amount of money into an interest bearing account, then there are real numbers that tell you how much money you can get. But every month, that $200, is the $200 you're putting into that account more real to you than the number that it can bear if you could stay consistent? Because a lot of times, like as we're living, like, the 1 million I can have at the end is less real than the $200 I may need because the car broke down, or the $200 I may need because I don't have
Mm-hmm.
any food in the house, right? And so, like, the numbers are real, but like our commitment to the future is not as real as our commitment to the present. And I think that that's something that we have to
That's
unlearn.
good.
That if we want to get to the reality of the future that we're working towards, we got to believe in that 1 million just as much as we believe in the 200. And we're used to believing in
That's
small, but we're
right.
not used to believing in the large that's in front of us. And so dream bigger and allow your dreams to become reality even
Yeah,
before they get here. That $1 million has to be a reality to you before it's sitting in your account.
that's right. That's it. And I'm over here looking because I was like, there's another guy, Anthony O'Neill,
Like
who's a
Anthony
great
O'Neill.
resource, for this kind of this kind of conversation. And I was looking because I know I had seen some statistics that he had. So um this is one of his recent posts, right? He says how to make 1.2 million in your sleep, right? Open an IRA, which is what I have. And then he says contribute $541 a month. That's 6,500 per year. Your money will grow, and in 30 years you'll have 1.2 million dollars.
Nice.
So if you're in your 30s, if you're 30 years old today, and you do that, you will have 1.2 million in your bank account, or in your investment account by the time you're 60. Here's the beautiful thing though, and this is what I like about that, because Quita, you hit on it. You won't always be in the financial situation you are today.
Mm-hmm.
If you build these habits, do these principles, if you continue to grow and continue to evolve as the person that you're uniquely called to be, your
Yeah.
your your finances won't look the same, right? So that
Correct.
$561 in 3 years could be $1,500, and the more money you put
Mm-hmm.
into it, the more money it will grow, right? So just knowing, and that's not the only account because that has an actual limit to it, but there are other accounts that don't have limits to it, that you can put more money into it. Again, whether it's a money market account, whether in the stock market, whether that is
Mm-hmm.
other investment packages. I don't. This is not my world, so there. Look that up. Earn Your Leisure is a great resource for that. They'll explain all that stuff to you. But um, you want to know, like, hey, I have an expectation that my financial situation won't be what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to dream and believe in what I see, believe in the vision I see for my life, and start acting on that reality today.
Yeah.
And watch as you begin to change the way you move, the money will begin to be different. It,
I
it just
love it.
will. I've
I
seen it,
love it.
literally. Like, I've seen it. Um so okay, man, that was fun.
We made it through, man. I was nervous, but that was
That was
actually
fun.
really good. That was really good.
That was fun, man. That was good. I
Yeah.
learned a lot myself. I'm trying to be out in these streets, chilling at 55 on a yacht. You know
What
what I'm
you
saying? I want to do
talking?
that.
What you talking? I'm trying to take all the trips.
Hey,
I'm trying to be out here.
man.
Okay? I'm trying to be in these relaxing
Uh,
streets.
yeah.
Okay? And we're gonna make it, Rue. We're gonna make it.
Oh, I ain't got no doubt. I know it. We on our way.
On
Um,
our
all right, man. So this is good. So I really hope that you got that. The article that we were kind of pulling from was from the Business Insider, the 7 hardest things you'll have to do with your money. And so if you can start to work through those things now, you when you get to your middle adult years, this
Oh,
the conversation will be different. It'll
listen.
be different. It can be different than it is right now. And just know
Listen.
that. Like, but you have to begin to unlearn this stuff today. Um Don't wait. Just don't wait. Like start changing your mind today about your money. All right. So that's it, man. That's it.
That
I
was
think we're done.
good, man. That was good.
We're done. Cool, cool, cool. So, oh yeah, wait. All right, I'm supposed to like, subscribe, share. That's what we're supposed to do.
Like, subscribe, share with y'all. Give this information. These are some hard fought wins we giving y'all. This advice did not come easy. All right, do not keep it to
No,
yourself. Make sure you share it with someone else. Make sure you like this podcast so that other people can see it, and make sure you subscribe so that you can stay in contact and in touch with what we're doing here. We are just two middle adults trying to get you to the future that we know you deserve. So don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, subscribe.
that's right. So let's keep unlearning together so that we can experience more freedom. And we will see y'all next time. Peace.